OI breaks the tap 2 rule. So that O doesn't say O because there is a vowel after it. Instead, that OI together say oi, oi. And that is how you spell that sound. We're going to consider oi, even though it's more than one sound. It's a diphthong kind of sound. There's some blending and melding of tiny little micro sounds from the beginning to the end of that chunk. But we're going to consider that chunk, that oi, as just one sound for today, just for today, because there is the spelling of that sound at the beginning and middle of words, and that's where you use the OI. As in, oil is where you'll see it at the beginning, or coil is where you'll see it at the middle. Boil. You'll never see OI at the end. I think we're going to learn that how to spell the OI sound at the end next time. But for today, we're learning how to spell oi. Let me say that better. Oi at the beginning and middle, and you use an OI to say oi. So let's start. Let me share my screen. All right, so how are we going to spell oi at the beginning and middle? With a O-I. Never at the end because words don't end in I. So you would never spell boy like that. All right, here's a sneak peek for our next class. If you hear oi at the end of a word, you spell it with an O-Y. But if you hear it at the beginning or the middle, you spell it with an O-I. So that's what we're going to do today. So our first word that we're going to do together is koipum. Koipum. The sounds are k, oi. And I'm going to put oi as one line for today. P, m. Consonants. K. I always spell the k sound with a C, unless I teach you different. There are 3 different spellings for that, but we haven't learned that yet. So for now, we're going to always use the C to spell the k sound. K, oi, p, m. Oi is going to be our OI. That should technically be 2 lines, but we're going to consider it 1 just for today's lesson and next time's lesson, just to learn how to spell that oi sound. Now, what about this here? Let me check the chat. I think some of you are remembering. It's ringing a bell, right? Yay! Very good, Sarah. So that's where we're going to put that O. Here is where O, if O is almost to the end of a longer word, and there's a consonant after it, it says That is the symbol for the sound, the schwa sound. And you spell it with an O most of the time. So an O is almost to the end of a longer word, longer meaning more than one vowels that don't touch, and there's a consonant after it. You spell that sound with an O most of the time. Your word is toyson. Toyson. Go ahead. Toyson. Good question, Lily. Toyson. Okay, for toyson, our consonants are t, oi, s, n. For the oi sound in the beginning and middle of words, we use an OI. That's our new reading hack for the day. And then when you hear that's almost to the end of a longer word, and there's a consonant at the end, you spell that with an O most of the time. Now, Lily is asking, how do I know if I'm going to spell it, this sound with an O or with an A? She was here in A month, and she remembered that A also can say the sound for the same reason. If it's toward the end of a longer word and there's a consonant after it. There are times when it will be an O and when it will be an A. I think I'm probably going to have that as its own lesson in September because it's kind of, well, it's not complicated. It's just a lot to learn to pack in. When I was teaching it this month, I think it needs its own lesson. It depends on the last letter, like, and a couple other things like the meaning of the word. Like if you hear shun at the end of a noun or a describing word or a state, it's going to be an O-N. But if you hear shun at the end of a career or a profession, then that is going to be spelled with an A. So these say the same thing, shun and shun. This O and this A say the same thing, and They're both spelling the schwa sound, but it's the letters that are surrounded, the letters that are near it, and the meaning of the word. And it's kind of complicated. It's an excellent question. I think it's going to get its own lesson so that you can make educated assumptions when you go to spell those sounds. Very good. Look at all these correct spellings. I know that some of them are autocorrect. Okay, number 2. Slointope. Slointope. We have s, ol, oi, n, t, o, p. Consonants. S, ol, oi, n, t, o, p. Vowels. Here's our oi that is spelled with an OI in the beginning and middle of words. Usually it's going to be in the middle. Very rarely at the beginning. And then for our O sound at the end, can we spell it with just a regular old O? Nope, because that would change to the schwa sound. I want the O sound, so if it's a long O that I want, that requires another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. So we can put an OA, or we can put an O consonant final silent E. Which one is it? Do we use an OA, or do we use an O consonant final silent E? Here's the answer. This is usually in short words. This is at the end of longer words, more than 1 syllable. So we're going to use the O consonant final silent E. So if there's not another vowel, make another vowel. And at the end of longer words, you're going to use that silent E choice. Nice. Okay, your word, croin dome. Croin dome. K, oi, n, d, o, m. Go ahead. Croin dome. Nice. That was autocorrect. I know it is. Croin dome. That first sound is a k, and there's a n in the middle. So close, so close. Excellent. Nice. Okay, so for croin dome, there's that k sound at the beginning that we're going to use a C for. And then we have our oi, n, d, o, m. Vowels. Oi in the middle of words is spelled with an OI. O. I want the O sound at the end, but that requires another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. If there's not one, I make one. I'm not going to use an OA here because that's for short words. At the end of longer words, it's usually going to be an O consonant final silent E. At the end of longer words, to spell the long O sound, it's going to be an O and then their consonant and then a final silent E. All right, how are you doing so far? How are you feeling? Put one word in the Q&A. Let me know how you're feeling. What is a one-word description of how you're feeling? Oh, that's good. That's a good idea. Woohoo, I love exclamation points. That's amazing, Lalosha. Leila Toa, maybe? Leila Toa? Leila, Lala Toa? I hope one of those was right. Okay, tracking. I'm tracking it. I'm picking up what you're throwing down. 50-50, that is a solid C+ in my book. Nice. Okay. I'm missing. What happened? I want to see. There they are. Oh my goodness. Nathan, that just made my night. I got 20 O's and 30 exclamation points. Good. All right, let's try. Do we have time for one last more? One last one. One last one. I want your word to be oit. Oit. Go for it. Oit. Yep. Right. Good. Oit. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is oi. We're not going to spell it like this. O-Y is usually reserved for the end of words. We're going to use the O-I spelling for the beginning and middle. Now, look at all that you have learned today. Let me just check that chat one more time. Yeah. Is this exciting or what? If you didn't make the time to come to class today, you might not have realized that oi is spelled O-I at the beginning and middle of words. I mean, you might have kind of maybe thought that, but now you know. O-I is for the beginning and middle. Next time you're going to learn that O-Y is for the end. Is it all just starting to make sense a little bit? And you've also had a review of a lot of past patterns that we've learned for O month. All right, my friends, you are amazing. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow, I hope. Otherwise, we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody.